Even with a compound as fascinating and widely studied as resveratrol, beginning with the cautions is essential because once a natural molecule is isolated and delivered in capsule form, its effects become more pharmacological than dietary. Some midlife adults may experience mild stomach discomfort when taking resveratrol on an empty stomach, and higher doses can occasionally influence blood thinning or interact with medications that affect liver enzyme pathways. Long-term safety is generally good, but because resveratrol engages in metabolic signaling, especially pathways overlapping with NAD precursors, individuals with chronic conditions should remain mindful of how it pairs with existing therapies. And quality matters enormously. Many supplements vary widely in purity or combine resveratrol with synthetic fillers or low-grade extracts. With those reasonable precautions acknowledged, the advantages revealed by this double-blind trial become not just promising but genuinely exciting for aging science. The strength of the study lies in its precision. Instead of merely tracking subjective well-being or indirect markers, researchers examined NAD metabolism, mitochondrial enzyme activity, and recognized biomarkers of cellular aging, the core machinery that determines how quickly or slowly our cells accumulate damage over time. By focusing on midlife adults, the trial targeted a critically important window, the decades when mitochondrial efficiency begins its slow, steady decline, but before functional loss becomes irreversible. Supporting cellular energetics during this period may have long-term implications for vitality, cognitive endurance, and metabolic stability. The most encouraging finding was the improvement in mitochondrial enzyme activity, especially in complexes involved in energy production and redox recycling. Mitochondria are often called the engines of the cell, but in reality they are more like delicate power grids, reactive, adaptive, and vulnerable to cumulative stress. When their efficiency improves, cells produce energy more cleanly, with fewer free radicals and less metabolic friction. That translates into real-world benefits: steadier energy, better stress tolerance, and the kind of metabolic flexibility that tends to erode as people move through their 40s and 50s. The fact that resveratrol could enhance these enzyme activities in a controlled, blinded context reinforces the idea that this compound is not merely an antioxidant. It is a signaling molecule that can shift cellular behavior in a younger, healthier direction. The NAD findings are equally important. NAD is a master cofactor involved in DNA repair, metabolic regulation, and mitochondrial renewal. Levels naturally decline with age, contributing to slower recovery, increased inflammation, and diminished resilience. This study showed that resveratrol supplementation helped support NAD-related pathways, not by acting as a direct precursor like NMN, but by activating sirtuins, the longevity-associated proteins that depend on NAD to function optimally. In simple terms, resveratrol makes the existing NAD system work more efficiently. For midlife adults, this means better cellular housekeeping, cleaner metabolic cycles, more effective DNA repair, and less cellular wear and tear. Another uplifting aspect of the trial is that the improvements in mitochondrial and NAD function were accompanied by modest but meaningful shifts in aging biomarkers, lower oxidative stress markers, improved inflammatory profiles, and signals of enhanced cellular resilience. These are the subtle changes that accumulate silently in the background, shaping how quickly tissues age, how well people adapt to stress, and how gracefully the body handles metabolic challenges. Even small improvements in these markers can translate into a slower trajectory of aging over the long term. What makes the positive analysis even more compelling is how well these findings align with the theoretical framework developed from decades of laboratory studies on resveratrol. For years, scientists have observed that resveratrol can activate sirtuins, support mitochondrial biogenesis, and enhance stress response pathways in animals and cell cultures. Seeing these mechanisms reflected in controlled trials involving real adults adds a layer of credibility and relief. The theory is finally meeting human evidence. And unlike many interventions that demand extreme diets or exhausting regimes, resveratrol provides a gentle, sustainable way to support the body's cellular infrastructure. There is also a deeply practical benefit. Resveratrol supplementation is accessible, requires minimal behavioral change, and does not disrupt daily routines. For midlife adults juggling work, family obligations, and inconsistent sleep, an intervention that strengthens mitochondrial function without adding burdens is profoundly valuable. A capsule taken consistently, paired with hydration, regular movement, and balanced meals, can support the underlying cellular machinery that keeps the rest of life running smoothly. One of the most positive implications is the potential ripple effect across multiple systems. Better mitochondrial function means smoother cognition, steadier mood, improved metabolic control, and greater physical endurance. It means cells burn fuel more cleanly, recover more efficiently, and resist damage more effectively. And because mitochondria play a role in everything from hormone regulation to immune function, even modest improvements can contribute to a broader sense of vitality. Altogether, the findings from this double-blind trial paint an encouraging picture of resveratrol as a meaningful, scientifically grounded ally in midlife longevity support. It doesn't promise dramatic reversal of aging and shouldn't, but it offers something more realistic and arguably more important: a gentle strengthening of the cellular systems that determine how well we age from the inside out. When used responsibly, resveratrol becomes not just a supplement, but a quiet contributor to healthier aging, better energy, and deeper cellular resilience as the years progress.